Well, what's love got to do with it? Everything. But in particular, this week, we're talking about number 8, the 8th type of love, which is the highest form of love. It is not the other 7. It is absolutely separate and distinct. It is called agape love. That is the Greek word for love that Jesus uses and that God uses in Scripture to help us understand. It is distinctly not brotherly love. It's not romance love. It is a love for 2 types of people that you don't get to choose in your life. 1, your neighbors, and 2, your enemies. And so when we talked about this, of course, as you know, we talked about the rich lawyer that came to Jesus and asked Jesus, what is the greatest commandment, and how do you know when you're doing this? And it was really a test for Jesus. And Jesus responded to him and said, what's written in the law? You're a lawyer. And the lawyer says to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. And Jesus says, well, you got it right. Now just do it. And that's kind of what Nike told us and what I tell us. Just do it. Right? How, though, is the question. How do you extend unconditional agape love? But then the challenge for many of us is our enemy. Would you not agree that loving our enemy takes work? Because your enemy is usually someone who has done or is continuing to do intentionally wrong, to show that they do not like you. All right, and that they don't want well for you. They don't want what's good for you. And so it's hard to love someone who does not have your best interests at heart. Someone who would wish you dead. It's very hard to love that person. But yet, we are taught in this lesson that we are to love them. Now, I want to move to your questions for this particular topic. But before I give you the question, I do want to make this statement, and that is that the intention behind talking about agape is because I believe it's been covered wrong so much. Even for me, I saw it one way and I see it deeper. I see a deeper meaning because it doesn't say I have to like you, but I have to, given the opportunity to do right by you, I have to choose right. Even if it's not something I want to do, it's something I must do because the Scriptures commands me to do it. And beyond that is a great reward for doing so. And so your focus is not on making myself do this. Your focus is on the reward for doing this. Jesus is an example of that. He had to go to Calvary. And certainly they spit on him, they beat him. They gave him every reason to retaliate. But he having in mind, as the Scripture says, seeing the reward before him. In the book of Philippians, we're to have that mind of Christ, right? What is the mind of Christ? Seeing the joy that is set before him. At the end of this journey, he kept his focus and he did what he had to do. And that's why we are who we are today. Here are your questions. Question number 1. Are there people in your life that are not relatives or close association that you would struggle to love as a result of your strong dislike of them? Because you don't like them, would you have a problem with struggling with loving them? Let's take, for example, one of mine. An enemy for me, someone I do not like, is a racist. I do not like someone who dislikes me and because of the color of my skin. And it doesn't have to be someone I know. I'm talking about when you're at the light and that person pulls up beside you and gives you the finger and calls you the N-word. The question for me was, would I struggle to love him or her because I don't like them? All right? The point I want to make is you don't have to like people to love them with agape love. That is the goal, to love them in spite of what you dislike. All right. The second question for you to throw around is, do you believe you have to like people in order to love them? Because some of us feel like I got to get to know you and like you first, then I can love you. That's not agape. That's phileus. That's brotherly love. That's friendship love. That's, those are different. Family. You don't have to like a family member, but you have to storge love them. You have to give them love because they are your family. They are your connection. And you kind of draw the line about how much interaction with them. But I'm talking about, do you believe you have to like people in order to love them? And the last question is, are there people that you love, but you have not forgiven them? This is challenging. This one, I believe I threw in here because I think that some of us have the agape love, but we don't realize we do have it because there's still issues. And this one now goes to family as well. People who you love unconditionally, but maybe you haven't forgiven them. All right. This should be a great discussion. Enjoy.